Hey, welcome back you lovely people. This is our second of 3 car videos at our Manor Park Classics sale. This is for Saturday the 22nd of July, so if you're thinking of coming down, please do. If you can't make it, I'll try and be your eyes and ears. It's a very quick run round, so if you do have time, if you subscribe to our videos, you get these nice and early, you have time to come and see them in real life. If you look around, I'll do you a quick spin look. All these lovely people have done exactly that, and in the main hall, look, full of people. Opening doors, checking service histories, all the things we like you to do. I will try and do the best. If you see a car that you like and you want a bit more information, go to the listing. We've got book packs, we've got undershots, anything you want, but we will still do a singular walk around. If you want to just give us a call, find out what we are talking about in person, happy to do that. Right, let's start with this 1958 Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. What do you do if a Sprite's not cool enough or rare enough? You put a Shelsley kit on it. This has got a full Shelsley kit. It's got 16,000 miles since a lot of restoration and rebuild. Bucket seats, mountain wheel, mini lights. Just a lot of fun that. If you want a really nice period looking sports car, so it's obviously the middle bit of a Sprite with a much nicer sort of door, front and boot piece on it. Very period looking thing. And that would be between about 8.5 and 9.5. It's been in again, but it's got a much lower reserve this time. So if you fancied it last time and you thought it was just a little bit too much, maybe now's the time. Moving on to this, we've got a lot of really nice sort of post-war stuff in this sale. A 1951 Singer 9 4AB Roadster. Our very own George, our own superstar George, he absolutely adores this. You can see why. It's very pretty, isn't it? 71,000 miles, it's manual, it's original spec. It's got all the weather gear that goes with it as well. It's been recently recommissioned. New head gasket, new rocker box gasket, new sump gasket, new head stud, so it's in a very good way. Purrs along this little thing. Loads of original brochures, and it's just nice to drive. It's not fast, don't get me wrong. You could get out and run faster than a 1951 Singer, but if you just want something to bimble to the pub, go to local car shows, take the kids or grandkids out for a little run. And what's nice about this period of car is they really aren't massive amounts of money. You could buy that and it is very lovely. £8,000 to £9,000. Have a look from the side. If you come and shoot it from here earlier, I think they're a particularly pretty little thing. It's almost like a noddy car, isn't it? But like a Topolino, kind of the door line on the back and the arch. I think that is absolutely brilliant. And you don't see that many of them for sale either. Quite a rare car. Now, perhaps a bit more common, but no less desirable, 1979 Triumph Spitfire 1500. This has got the factory hardtop, so do bear that in mind. We have that. We've just taken it off so people can get a proper look. 37,000 miles showing, 3 former keepers. It's got the overdrive, and it's got the spare wheel and cover as well. And MOTs and certificates and invoices going back to 1982. I like these. It's got the Talbot mirrors on, which is very cool. It's got the aftermarket steering wheel. It needs a little bit of a polishing them up on the paint, but it's actually a very level car, and I would say they're original door cards and probably original seats as well, actually. I really like these Mark IIIs, you know, I really like these Michelotti Triumphs generally, but I just think they've aged so well. And they're not massive amounts, again, 5 to 6, which is MX-5 money, where they perhaps, dynamically, an MX-5 would run rings around this. As a fun sportster, there's a bit of a roadster that's not going to break the bank. Again, amazing spares backup on these, lovely looking thing, awful lot of fun, great starter classic, really nice club as well. Come and look at this. I am obsessed with this. Everybody knows I love old Isuzus, I've got a few. This is just an Isuzu Mu underneath. So in Japan it was called the Isuzu Mu. We got it over here as the Vauxhall Frontera. Do you remember when everybody had these in the 90s? And then of course they all rotted away. Because they were decent workhorses actually. The Trooper that's underneath is a tough old truck. But they all rotted away, didn't they? They all literally rusted to oblivion. And somehow, I don't know how, this one hasn't. This one is really original. So it's done 27,000 miles, which is probably why it's still here. Manual car, one previous owner who had it for 28 years. Great factory spec with all the stuff on. Can't really tell you guys how good the bodywork is on this. There's a little bit of lack appeal on the roof. But you don't really care about that because what you're worried about is corrosion and rot and all the arches going and the floor going. And there, it is astonishing. I would really like to own this. I would rather have this, you know, than say a P38 Range Rover, because everybody's got one of those. Nobody's got a 5-door Vauxhall Frontera. Look at the arches. These were on the original Isuzu Mu. Bit like the Nova arches. That's giving me poor man's Lancia Delta Integrale vibes. Very, very unusual, rare, and extraordinarily level truck that. 5 to 6 grand. Right, if you watch Back to the Future, and who didn't, you remember the Toyota pickup. early Toyota pickups are just going through the roof. And this one is perhaps the only affordable way you might get one, because it's an 81 South African import one, but it's got an S6 V6 in, so the fact it hasn't got the Toyota engine is actually making it cheaper, but also sounds better, and I think more fun to drive. So it's 35 years in South Africa, so again, bodywork on this. Normally when you buy an old Toyota, it's going to be rotten, it's going to be full of holes or filler and weld. This is none of those things. It's an extraordinarily good shell, and either just keep it as it is and run it and have some fun with it. I mean, look at the state of the bed. The bed's really good. It's got the liner in it. This is great what they've done with this, textured liner. But again, arches underneath, all the places where these just rot to bits. This is extraordinarily good. Tastefully modified. It's got a modern ignition system and it's been rust proofed. I don't think you'll find many of this era of Hilux in this condition anywhere, and you could buy that, my friend, for 10 to 12 grand. And I would wager if you did, again, I would rather own that than any Range Rover. If you want some kind of interesting, unusual off-roader, and with the Back to the Future connection, you could paint that black and have an awful lot of fun with that. You could be Marty McFly. Love an old Land Rover. Right, Series 1. Rare and desirable 107, and it's just been recommissioned. Drew Pritchard would wet his pants if he saw this. Look at the condition of all of this beautiful bodywork. I think it would be utterly criminal to do anything with that. Someone's obviously put some new wings on, which is great, and I love the way they've just brushed them and left them. So recently recommissioned after a period of storage, bills for recent expenditure including the new outer wings and buffers, mirrors, lower windscreen scuttle, which is that bit, guys, and driver's pedal box, had a recent brake overhaul, brake pipes, handbrake parts, new slave master cylinders, new fuel pump, carburettor, manifold. So this is the one you want, isn't it? Look at this. This has got beautiful scruffy patina. Love all these cracks in the window. It's perfect, isn't it? I just wouldn't change a thing. But underneath where it matters, all the bits that you want to make sure work and start and will get you to where you want to go are working perfectly. Someone's obviously spent a lot of money. They put some indicators on it, which is no bad thing. That's a nice little upgrade, because people do miss the trafficators or the hand signals. That's fabulous. That could be yours for somewhere between £9,000 to £11,000. If you buy it, please, don't, whatever you do, do not touch it, don't restore it. Just continue to do all the wonderful mechanical work that's been done, enjoy it, and just soak in the admiring glances of everyone that thinks that's an old money car. I adore that. Far more presentable. If you like your Land Rovers to be shiny and straight and without patina, this is the one for you. 78 Land Rover 109 Series 3. It's got the 2.25 petrol engine, not 2.5. 70,000 miles on this. Matching Goodyears, freewheeling hubs, got a new Exmoor trim canvas roof, and new seats. Come and look at these seats. They're beautiful. Again, someone spent some money on this, haven't they? So it's got really good bulkhead floors, the chassis and the rear crossmember all in fantastic shape. And as I said, it's got the 2.25 engine in it. Those seats are great, aren't they? Really nice condition, this. So almost show quality, actually. The hood's good, the paint's very good. That's for the polishers out there. If you like your Land Rovers to be clean and tidy and very presentable, that is for you. And that's 8,000 to 9,000. Again, not a huge amount of money, and certainly doesn't reflect what it would cost you to buy one of these and to get it into that condition. So somewhat of a bargain. You could buy a matching pair if you like as well, because here's another 109 Series 3 with the ultra desirable safari roof on. 47,000 miles, 3 former keepers, 48,000 miles, as I say. 12-seater this one. Look, so if you've got massive family, you want to take everybody out in style, look. Never mind a 7-seater or an 8-seater, 12-seater that. So if you like to take grandkids and kids all at the same time, that's for you, or if your kids are particularly popular, this is yours. This is what you need. Freewheeling hub, solid bulkhead, a safari roof, as I said, which is absolutely fantastic. Avon Rangemaster tyres, and some nice options here. Electric windscreen washer, oil pressure gauge, a KPH speedo, rear indicator lamp, safety harness anchorage, fuel filter, and a separate rear number plate light. Some very tasteful, subtle mods. Bumpers look as if they've been done with galv bumpers as well. Isn't that nice? That is 15, 17, so a little bit more money, but my word, what a usable thing. If you're looking for the ultimate school run bus and you have a lot of kids, that's it. Or maybe you're managing a 5-a-side football team. You can take the kids and the coach all in one. Moving on to 450 SEL, one of my favourites. This gentleman's checking it out. Excuse me walking through this, sir.
It's okay, I'll come your way. Photograph.
Bless you.
There you are.
So this is a 1979 Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL. We would describe this as time warp, so not perfect. So if you look around, you can see little bits. So you've got Tiny bits on the edge of the roof, little bits of rust just starting to come through, although the deflector and the cassette work perfectly. But I would wager this is original paint, you know, guys, and definitely original trim. But what a thing, what a thing. So, factory spec car, loads of paperwork on the car's life, looks and drives beautifully. The guys have driven this. Do check the video out of this online. It is very impressive. And it's got its original Becker radio cassette. You don't find many of these for sale, actually. And if you are a collector, if you do want to complete your S-Class, there you go, look. Rear seats in lovely condition. Your net pockets, always something to check on an old Merc. They're unusually taut. They normally get absolutely battered by the kids in the back. That is really nice. Now, that's probably only a few £100 on the roof to get that painted again. I'd buy that. That's 10 to 12 grand for a 450 SEL. What a way to travel. I think that's the ultimate old money car. If you're thinking of buying something flash to turn up at events, park outside your favourite hotel, go away for the weekend with the family or your other half, that's going to be very hard to beat. A well-maintained, well-running Mercedes is pretty reliable, and in the summer you could drive that every single day and you would enjoy it. Now, Bentley Tudor, price range Bentleys I have a soft spot for, as we all know, because nothing is as much fun or as much of a headache, let's be honest, when they go wrong. A lovely old Bentley that doesn't cost a huge amount of money can be a wonderful thing. This one is a little bit scruffy, bit of lack appeal here. Paintwork could do with a little bit of a touch-up and a sort. Interior is very nice though. This is a 1986 Turbo R. So this car defines the word torque and it defines the word waft. Wonderful colour combination, so metallic BRG with tan. Very long MOT with no advisories. So although you've got a little bit of tidying to do, what you haven't got to do is worry about the next MOT, and the fact it went through with no advisories at all suggests that actually you've got the bones of a very good car there. So I would say have a look at that. If you're into bodywork correction and bodywork rectification, you'll have a lot of fun just driving it as it is, and as and when the budget comes through, just gently tidy her up. That's going to be, my friends, 3 to 4 grand. I mean, why are we even having this conversation? Why are you not online now, smashing in the commission bid? Because you could have a Bentley on your drive for 4 grand plus commission, so you know, 4 and a bit grand, you could own that, and your friends will think you've won the lottery. And they drive like nothing else. Old Bentleys just drive so beautifully. Yeah, give yourself a grand or so a year to look after her properly, but well worth it. And moving on to this, just the way this sits, the colour, the presence of this car, particularly love the colour combination. This is an 80 Shadow 2, this one. So let me open this up for you. There you go. And let you look inside there. I love this. It's light blue exterior, beautiful blue leather interior, and it's in very, very good order. 56,000 miles, and it's been with the vendor for 17 years. 4 recorded keepers all together. And I'm just looking around this, the paint on this car is very, very nice. Tiny little bit of bubbling on the back window. Probably if you're being pedantic, you treat it to a new rear window seal. Tiny bit of lacquer bubbling on the roof. But my word, what a pretty car, what a lovely colour. That we've got between 8 and 9. I still am amazed. I had to write an article for Classic Car Weekly a few weeks ago. What are the cars I would buy for under 10 grand? I will always put a Shadow 2 in there, because if you can find a nice one, and I would say this is very much a nice one, just a wonderful thing. You feel so special when you drive a Shadow. If you've never driven one, make sure you buy one. While we're young enough and petrol's cheap enough, get one. It might cost you a couple of grand a year, because these are big old buses. You have to remember, you have to keep the budget to run old rollers as if they were new. They're not going to be a cheap car to run, but you will feel so special. And if you put that against the depreciation of even a modern hatchback, it's a very cheap car. This shouldn't have a favourite child, but in my Rolls-Royce Bentley lineup, this is my favourite by a long way. Bentley T1. So it's like having a Shadow, but rarer, more exclusive, more exotic. And in this two-tone, I am absolutely in love with this, because it's got the trims, it's got the fabulous interior again, the patination on that leather. You could either leave it like it is, which I think I'd be tempted to, or have that recolonised and have it mint. But this is original spec with a sharp radio. The chrome work is very nice on it. It's got the rear picnic tables, so it's the perfect one for a National Trust day out. New brake calipers, all new flexes, replaced new fuel pump. Just over £1,000's just been spent. Loads of old invoices, loads of old MOTs. And that is going to cost you a bit more because T1s are rarer. James May used to have a T1. It tells you everything you need to know because he thought the Shadow was too common. Whereas the T1 is just that little bit more exclusive. 9 to 11 you could buy that for. Isn't it nice? Just have a moment without me getting in the way, just to look how nice that is. See the chrome work, again, everything's patinated beautifully on this. You can just see, if you were going to go for a restoration, you'd re-chrome that. But my advice is, why would you bother? Just leave it as it is. You can see, look, if you look at the shadow front and the Bentley front, the T1's got that softer cowl on the radiator, and I think it's much more handsome. Just my opinion, you might have a shadow. I have a shadow, to be fair, but I actually wish I had a T1. Another beautiful shadow, 75 this one. This is special, again, that gorgeous blue. This has done 33,000 miles from new, 2 former keepers, offered an original spec. It's got the MOTs to prove that as well, so we don't just think it's 33,000 miles. It tallies all the way through with every MOT. Matching set of Avon turbo steels, but Caribbean blue, or Caribbean if you're watching from America. Here you guys. Isn't this great? Look, come and have a look. So same colour combination as that one. In fact, if there was 2 of you, you could get a matching pair. Chromed very nice. The paint's going a little bit flat on the roof. It probably could benefit from a flat and a lacquer on the roof. But come on guys, find me one. In this condition, 33,000 miles. You can see, look, it's just starting to get the odd little tiny rust cauliflower, although the rear window is very good on this and the rear window seal is very good on this. It's just starting to flat off. You might find that some of that will mop back on the top. But what a lovely car. We've got that estimated at 18 to 20 because this really is very special, and you don't find them with a warranted 33,000 miles on very often. Particularly lovely car, and that's the two-tone if you look as well. It's a really pretty car. More Bentleys, more ways to look incredibly important and successful for not massive amounts of money. And Elliot, be careful, because we know there's been a Singer sweating power on that floor down there. 1954 this one, Bentley Type R saloon, single family from new until the present day. It's only done 84,000 miles since 1954. And it's a local car, it's been owned by the same family all of its life. Amazing engine bay on this, beautiful suicide door here as well. And if I could transmit this smell to you guys, if I could just give you a waft through the YouTube screen of what I'm smelling there. Look at that. And the crazy thing about these 50s cars is they're not, again, huge amounts of money. If you can think of the present, if you turned up at your local village fete in this, or picked the kids up from school, people would assume that you are indeed some oligarch or owner of a stately home in the nearby vicinity, but actually I need about 21 to 23 grand for you. So probably about a third of what a new Golf GTI costs. You could have that. I think I'd have that all day long. Another amazing car, so going even earlier, so you can see this is 50s Bentley architecture, this is 30s Rolls-Royce architecture. This is a great car as well. Rolls-Royce 2025 Windover Saloon with a wonderful history file in this fabulous two-tone grey. 7,600 miles, which I imagine has been reset at some point, but a matching numbers car, original engine, gearbox and chassis. It's been upgraded with the electric fan, which is very nice. It's got the opening Safari screen on this, twin mounted side wheels, and history going back to 1953. That's amazing. So huge factory spec records as well, and it's got all the right bits, matching luggage rack as well. So that's 20 to 22. I mean, a coach built Rolls-Royce for 20 to 22 grand. Blows your mind, doesn't it? I was just at Le Mans Classic a couple of weeks ago with my friend with the Bentley, and I'm getting a huge amount of love for running board and winged cars now. And obviously those Bentleys are serious money if you get a Bentley. But buy an old roller for 20 to 22 grand, you can hang out in the same circles. I'm sure they'd welcome you with open arms. All the fun of the fair for 20, 22 grand. Great car. This, I can't believe you didn't buy this last time, guys. Come on, you've let me down. This is a true Goodwood Revival Provenance race car, 1955 Standard 8, 1.5 litre competition saloon. It was built in 2003. A ton of money was spent. Really modified car, beautifully recommissioned, and it has done the St Mary's Trophy. Just come and have a look at this, the way this has been put together. So it's got the cage, the seats, upgraded brakes. To get a car with Goodwood provenance is worth a few quid. To build a car that's eligible for Goodwood is horrendously expensive, and you could buy that one for somewhere between 19 and 21. My friend Drew, he put a Beetle together to race in the St Mary's Trophy. I'm not going to tell you what he spent to do that. You could have bought quite a nice flat somewhere with what he spent on that, but you could do it. To be fair, this wouldn't be quite as quick as Drew's car, but you'd have an awful lot of fun. Great track day machine, and don't forget this car is completely road legal. Drive it down the pub if you want, as long as you don't have a drink. Just look amazing. Now this, it's sweating a little bit of coolant, I'll be honest with you. Sweating power, as we say in the trade. This is a 1939 Singer Super 10 Saloon, offered with no reserve, which is why we're allowing it to sweat power a little bit on the floor. Beautiful pre-war Singer. Isn't it a sweet little thing? I would imagine if you get this up and running, you know, get yourself on one of the registers for historic filming vehicles, and imagine every time they're making any kind of wartime drama, you'll be getting the call for this, because there are a ton of these kicking around during the Second World War, and particularly in black. So original spec, opening screen and quarter windows, it's been converted to indicators, which, although the purists will despair, it's actually a really good modification to have if you're driving it on the road in the summer. Wonderful patina. You'll probably benefit from a little bit of polish on the bonnet. Runs, stops and drives. It will need some commissioning, guys, this, and it's known to the Singers Owners Club, but it's just lovely, very straight, very good on the body. Paint is surprisingly good. Like I say, oodles of fun. Probably there's an income to be had there, and it's a no reserve car, so you tell me what you think it's worth. Yeah, a few grand to buy that. You'd have an awful lot of fun just tootling down to your next classic car show, slowly. This I adore. Love a Metro, my mum had a couple of Metros. 1982, Austin Metro, Van den Plas or Van den Plas, depending on where you're from. Technically, I am reliably informed by those that know Van den Plas is the correct spelling because it's derived from the Belgian name. This is very nice because you've got automatic wood trim. The idea of this car is very common now, but to create a car that was basically high spec in a very small car. So if you wanted to have the luxury of what was your big Rover in a tiny little Metro, so you've got your automatic gearbox, you've got your luxury velour. This has got 5 owners from new. It's just had a service, just had the auto box refurbed. We think there's only 5 of these left. Really nice condition. A few little marks and tiny blemishes, a few little bits and pieces. The paint's actually very good, I have to say. A couple of bits that you can just see, it's just starting to go on the gutters there and just around the window. So it will need love going forward, but the roof works perfectly. Tax and MOT exempt, but it's got current MOT through till April of next year. Loads of paperwork for all the money that's been spent on 4 new tyres. So super level, super tidy. As I say, just bank on giving yourself a bit of budget. It's just starting to go, and it is very early on in a couple of places. So give yourself a few £100 this year, but 5 left. I think people are also, I love the British Leyland stuff, which was sort of languishing in the doldrums and almost was a bit of a joke, has suddenly become almost ironically cool because everybody remembers them. BL cars are a bit like Ford cars because our parents had them. You know, my mum had a Metro, an early one. We grew up with them, so I think because of that we've got an affection, and don't ever misread that that will affect prices. If we've got an affection in our heart for a particular kind of car, it does affect the value because it means something to us. 3 to 4 grand you could buy that for, and as I say, if you spent another grand on it, you could make it exceptionally tidy, and you would be one of only 5. I think people would love to see you in that. This I adore. Very surprised this didn't conclude a sale at the last time. So 1974 Taunus, over 10 grand spent on recommissioning work this. So this is a South African import, a car we never got, which I think is absolutely criminal because if you look inside, it is a little slice of Americana, but it's right-hand drive. So all the best bits of Ford Europe styling, all the best bits of Ford America styling smashed into one car, and someone has spent an enormous amount of money. And what's mad about this, they're a desirable car anyway, it's just had 10 grand spent on it, sorting all sorts of service bits and pieces and paint out. You could buy the car for 10 to 12 grand, so you're effectively getting the car for free and just paying for the recommissioning work. Isn't it brilliant? Hardly any of these in the UK, particularly in this condition. So if you're looking to buy a desirable Ford, we all know that Fords are worth a lot of money. Anything from this period, 1970s, if it's a coupe, if it's quick with a big engine, Capris, huge amount of money. The Taunus, because it's relatively unknown and therefore relatively unloved, despite the fact it looks this good, 10 to 12. I would very much like to have that in my collection, I really would. So maybe we'll be bidding against each other. Now this car, this is a great object lesson. I'm going to show you this now. If we walk around here, this was actually in the last sale. If you're a regular or you go on a lot of our videos, you'll recognise this car from the previous sale. Now this is a vendor doing a very clever thing. So it was in the last sale with black wheels, bright green calipers and paintwork that was just a little bit flat. Now the vendor's gone through and spent some very clever money refurbishing the wheels in the standard silver, redoing the brake calipers, and look how good a job they've done as well, and having all the paintwork corrected. And now to me the car looks 3 or 4 grand more. Very clever thing to do, and I'd always say that to any vendor. If you're thinking of listing a car in any auction, especially ours, the closer you can be back to standard specification, the more this looks like the one in the brochure, the more people will be interested. And this is a great example. If you compare the pictures of this now to how it was in the last sale, this car looks much more expensive. 77,000 miles on this B3 3.3, 2,000, beautiful car, one former keeper, loads of money spent, as I say, plus all this recent titivation, which I think makes it look much prettier. and just so much better than owning an M car. You know, M cars are amazing, but Alpina's a notch above. It's car people's fast BMWs, aren't they? Alpinas. M Sport's wonderful. Alpina. Just look at things like the details. Look, details on the steering wheel, on the seat. This is what you get on an Alpina that you don't get on an M. And they're just a bit more discreet. Wonderful car. Got to be collectible. Got to be an appreciating car, but also incredibly usable. Because at the end of the day, although it is an Alpina 3.3, it's also just a 46, so you've got a great car that you can use every single day. It's now in really nice, presentable condition, and you could buy that for somewhere like 11, 12 to 13 grand. That could be on your drive with all that money just spent as well. Moving on to this, more lovely BMWs. E36s I'm a huge fan of. And again, E30s have gone mental now, we've all missed that boat. But E36s, you can still get quite a nice car for not daft amounts of money. This is a 323, one of the last examples to be built. It is a Manuel gearbox, a bit of a driver's car, this one. And they're okay, the scuttle shake on these cars isn't too bad at all. Original spec, has a factory hardtop. If you've not driven a convertible with the factory hardtop on, that also totally eliminates the scuttle shake. So a 323 manual, when you put the hardtop on, is actually quite a nice driver's car because any torsion or flex you get, the roof takes away, it basically puts all the stiffness back in. Two previous owners on this, wonderful colour combination, and the leather is really quite nice. Just needing a tiny bit on the bolster there. That's 67. Look at E30 prices, have a look at what nice E30s are starting to fetch. The E36 will be not far behind. I think what they call the dolphin shape, one of the prettiest cars BMW ever made. And don't forget, in this iteration of the 3 Series, the M3 wasn't any different. The M3 had exactly the same wings and shape, so I think it's a very stylish car. And of all the BMW cabs, I think the best proportioned of all the cabs. Very low and graceful, those. Moving on to this, which I would buy purely for the colour. 1981 Mercedes 500 SL, so full fat SL in metallic brown. What's not to like? It's everything you need. Look at this, just drink it in, guys. Nothing could be more late 70s, early 80s than a metallic brown. Massive V8, 89,000 miles, 3 keepers, just had a big service carried out in January, 1100 quid service done, 25 stamps in the service book, gearbox service last year, hardtop comes with this one as well, I'm very pleased to say. It's got the rear seat option, which not all of them had. MOTs go back to 87 and a complete book pack. So what a very nice, well-provenanced car. And again, the top of this market, if you look at places like the SL shop, which have got these sort of absolutely flawless concourse cars, they are huge, sort of head-spinning amounts of money. But you could buy something like this for 16, 17,000 pounds. And I say, the colour alone, it's beautiful. I don't know how this is coming across on screen, but it's a really nice paint job in a very deep metallic brown with a lot of lacquer on it and a lot of pearl and flake in it. It's gorgeous. Again, a car I'd very much like to own. Moving on, these are still bargainous, aren't they? 2001 Porsche Boxer 3.2S, so the bigger engine, the quick one. Great fun, these. I like 911s, but the Boxer I think in so many ways is a more capable car. It's much more fun, much lighter on its feet, changes direction better because of the mid-engine. Low mileage this one, it's only done 57,000. It's a Tiptronic, it's a bit like Marmite Tiptronic, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it, but for a cruiser, for a road car, absolutely wonderful. Because you can just whack it into drive and waft in it. Low owners, and the fact it's a 3-tow with a really nice option kit and also colourway, I think is good news. 2001, that cost 7.5 to 8.5. How long can nice Boxers be at that price? Because the paint on this, guys, just have a look at the paint on this, I'll just come down the sides. Because normally inexpensive Boxers, and of course this is an S, so it's not going to be that inexpensive, don't have nice paint. This car has exceptional paint. In fact, it's so good, I can't even work out, it may have been painted. It's almost too good to be original paint, that. So someone's either given it the detailing of all details, or, and to be fair, there's a few chips on it though, which you'd expect to see on a car that's been enjoyed. That could be incredibly well maintained original paint. What a lovely car that is. 7.5 to 8.5, all original, really well spec'd, and it's an S, so the 3.2. Other fun roadsters. Bit of summer fun, you haven't got a massive budget, you want to just get something that's going to work, go well, be fun to own, not break the bank. Here you go. 2.8 Z3, so the lovely 6-cylinder engine, manual, rear-wheel drive, loads of fun, 3 owners from new. It's got a factory hardtop, which is very good news. Had the last owner for 20 years and a full BMW pack. And the best thing is, it's no reserve. So you tell me what you think it's worth. It needs a little bit of love. Look, you can just see this leather wear on the seat. So the leather is really quite decent. It needs a little bit of recolouring. They just discolour on the stitches, on the seams, and that one's done that. That's quite normal. So again, you can have that dyed in. It doesn't cost a lot. 200-300 quid would make that look absolutely immaculate. The car has been painted on the back quarter, I can see. Just a little bit. Not badly done at all. But panel fit is very good. So I'd imagine that's either just been a scratch. Yeah, back of the car is painted. To be fair, I think this has had, it's probably had a hit, to be honest, guys. This has probably all been painted. When I say hit, I mean it has been painted. That's what we call it in the trade. If you give a car a full hit, it means you paint the whole thing. So that's not a bad little car, no reserve. What a wonderful, inexpensive way to have fun, and with a 2.8 six-banger up front as well. Yeah, that's a car you could spend a little bit of time on. Just give that paint a polish, it's very nice. Get the headlamps restored, which is again just polishing. Cheap, fun, inexpensive, great way to travel that. Right, on to another wonderful BMW with no roof. 2002, 318 Ci convertible, really great looking. These 46s I think are one of the prettiest cars. 36 is my favourite, 46 straight behind. Another manual car, 104,000, really nice spec. And these are becoming quite the sought after car. This also, looking at this has had the bonnet painted. You can see when the sun's on it, there's a slight colour difference, the pearl's tint a different way, and that's scratched. So I would budget to have that bonnet painted again. But the paint and the body is very, very straight on this. Leather's very good as well, and I love the colour. Again, you won't break the bank to buy this. 3 to 4 grand would buy you this. As I say, that's only done 104,000 miles. Original radio, manual car. I like it a lot. But have some fun with these cars, guys. They're not huge amounts of money at the moment. This won't break the bank to look after. Roof and everything works very well on this. Drive it around in the summer, great car in the winter. Have it for a year or two, flip it, make a small profit. Come back and have something else. That's what I do. Right, on to the Maserati. Again, beautiful colour. This is in exceptional condition, this. 2002, 4200 Spider Cambio Corsa, this one. Really nice. We keep banging on about affordable cars. Cars that you can have fun with, that won't break the bank, that make it look as if you spent a huge amount of money when you haven't. This one's only done 39,000 miles. It's got the semi-automatic gearbox on this. Original factory spec with a great service history. Becoming quite rare these now as well, particularly in price range. And this one's going to be about 15,000 to 17,000 pounds. And have a look. So there's a few little bits. If you are an absolute perfectionist, which I am, I would probably have the leather economised, because it's very good, it's worn beautifully, but that lighter leather, it's just worth spending 200-300 quid with a specialist. Again, just on the tops of these door cards here, it's worth spending, you know, you can have that done for like 100-150. A trim repair specialist will come and make that absolutely perfect. And then you'll have a car that looks like 50-60 grand's worth, and you'll have spent under 20 to do the whole thing. That is special. And if you've not driven one of those, the engine note alone is worth every penny of that. Moving on to other monstrous motor cars, here we go. CL500, another flagship Merc. 79,000 miles. This is a 2000 CL500 flagship. This again, as we said with the previous one, this is when you went into Mercedes, you'd earned a few quid, you'd done rather well, and you wanted to telegraph to the world that you were successful. This is what you bought. This one had got a fantastic service history with 2 previous owners. Every MOT from 2003, which I'm sure you've worked out is every MOT. That was when it was 3 years old. 2 card keys, it's got a fitted car cover with it, an amazing specification, and of course it's in the German national racing colour. It's just had £900 spent on suspension and a new battery, which is the thing you have to watch on these. Everything's voltage related, and if the battery goes, things stop working. So a new battery is very good news. And I am walking around this car, guys, trying to find something. You know me, I try and give you the good and the bad. I'm finding it quite hard to find something bad, actually. It presents beautifully. How it looks is how it is. It really is. I cannot really find the paint's good. Sunroof cassette is good, the interior is very, very nice. I don't think that's had much paint or any paint. I think the bonnet's been painted in ancient history, but very well. Wheels are perfect, tyres are a cheaper tyre, but very good condition. That's a nice car. You could buy that for the hilarious price of £6,500 to £7,500. It's almost criminally cheap, isn't it? And it's just had some money spent, so I think you'll have at least 12-18 months of utter fun. Put a personal reg on it, just waft about, feeling like Lord or Lady of the Manor. Onto this, I like the replica wheels on this, it really is doing it for me. Little SLK 230 compressor, just affordable fun, and it's manual as well, so you've got a compressor manual. This is going to be an absolute hoot. Turn the traction control off and do some skids in it. Rare manual car, clean MOT, went straight through. Moderate mileage, it's done 70,000, which isn't much for these. 10 service stamps, and it's the facelift car, which I really like. It's got the turn dash. Isn't that nice? Paint's really good. Compressors are a lot of fun, I have to say, and it's very unusual to get a manual because nearly everybody ordered an Orso. So if you're thinking of kind of like, I want an MX-5 because I want a cheap, affordable roadster, don't buy one of those, buy one of these. It's a Merc, a manual. Please somebody buy this, put a diff in it and do drifting in it. I think it would be absolutely hilarious. And the paint is really good, actually. I'm just looking down the sides for you now, guys. I'm your eyes because you can't be here. Yeah, that's nice. That is probably a day's detailing away and a wheel refurb from being a really astonishingly nice car, actually. And the facelift makes it good. That's good. No reserve. Have some fun with that. This car here, the 2004 Mercedes SL 350. I really like this iteration of SL. I think they got it right stylistically. This has only done 69,000 miles. It's auto, of course. It's been with the last owner for 7 years. Original factory spec. And again, Mercs in silver is a bit of a stereotype. It's a bit obvious, but there's a reason that people order them in silver, because it works and they look good. I do think this is one of the best alloys ever fitted to the SL as well. The AMG monoblock. Doesn't that look lovely? Drives and presents perfectly. Good MOT history with it. I don't think it's a complete service history, but it's a very good service history on this car, and you could buy that for £6,000 to £7,000. All the people that are saying there's no fun in the classic car market for under 10 grand, you can't buy anything exciting or flash or fast, utter rubbish. Even when you've paid your commissions on top of that, you'd have a lot of change from 10 grand, a lot of change from 10 grand, and you'd be driving that around. Isn't that fun? What a great thing. Own an SL for 6 to 7 grand plus commissions. This is exceptionally clean. Mrs. Cowland has already expressed interest in this. 2007 335 SE convertible with 36,000 miles on this. Automatic, proper WAF spec. And just take some time at it to have a look. The paint on this is really good. The wheels are exceptional. The leather is as new. Wonderful, wonderful spec being an SE as well. It's pretty much like buying a new car, this, guys. I'm trying to find a dent or a scratch on it for you. I can't. Yeah, wheels have been refurbed to an exceptional standard actually as well. An automatic, and being at a 335, these are quick, properly quick. Love it. Really nice unmolested car, lovely service history, drives and presents beautifully. You know, you're going to buy that car for 5 to 6 grand plus commissions. Look at the dash. It is perfect, guys. This car is almost like new. Really, very, very nice indeed. I really can't fault that in any way. So maybe you and me can bid on that together. Moving on to this, again, one of the most beautiful cars of the 1980s for me in terms of proportion. You watch any 1980s film, any period drama of the time set in America, either the good guy or the bad guy will be driving one of these, an SEC. This is a 420, so not the biggest engine they did, but actually for that reason perhaps a bit more usable. It's done 104,000 miles, pillarless coupe. Look at that, look. Again, cars that made you look as if you were doing well in the time period. The 1986 Mercedes SEC is that car. The first owner had this for 36 years. Now I must say, full disclosure, this car didn't need the factory black, so it was a different colour. It's been extraordinarily well colour changed, so you wouldn't know that, but at some point you might realise this wasn't a black car. So I'd like to be the one to tell you. Only 73 left on the UK. It was driven here, drives perfectly. Been resprayed and colour changed to a very nice standard, and we think there's only 69 left of these on the UK roads, which is mad. Not many people bought them when they were new. They were hellishly expensive new. In the 80s, you know, house equivalent money. But today, effortless wafter that just kind of says, yes, timeless car, old money car. I love it for that reason. Right, coming very close to my home here. 2006 Subaru Impreza WRX Spec D. So we've had this car in previously. I still can't believe it hasn't found a home, but I think the reserve is a little bit lower this time, so this could be the time that you buy it. Spec D is a great car. So you've got the Hawkeye, which is the best of all the GD shaped cars. You've got the STI engine, you've got the lovely Enkai forged wheels and the Brembo brakes on this as well. But the Spec D, the idea was a more subtle car. So you've got your sports seats, but if you look with your lovely frameless doors, they are full leather. So much less leery, and where you normally got your big STI WRC wing, you got the much smaller WRX wing on the Spec D. The idea being it was a bit of a Q car, so it had all the power, all the performance of the full fat STI, but in a shape and spec that flew under the radar. They were trying to get people out of BMWs with this. The idea was if you could afford a 3 Series, you could buy this for about the same money, and it was a lot quicker with a lot more grip. Fabulous car. We have got that up with 44,000 miles, that's all. 12 to 14 grand. I adore that, and they are so rare. They hardly made any. About 200 cars, I think. My dad had one. Amazing thing. On to Alfa Romeo. When did you ever see one of these, ever? They never come up for sale. Very nice car. So GTA 3.2, so it's got the Busso 24-valve engine. They say if you buy an Alfa, buy one with a V6. There's a very good reason for that. They look amazing, they sound brilliant. And if you're going to have that Italian car experience, give yourself the Italian car soundtrack. Wonderful interior on this. It's done 84,000 miles, but you would not know. I would have pegged this at much, much lower mileage than that. That does not look like 84,000 miles anywhere on this car. This car looks like it's done 34,000 miles. So it's got brilliant blue, which is this colour, original spec, great service history, presents and drives very well. I don't know who's been looking after this car, but they've done an extraordinary job. Isn't it beautiful? So that's estimated at 10 to 12. And they're just such a rare car. All Alphas are good news, we know this, but ones that have exceptional history in great colours, in really good condition, that were originally a very rare spec, are going to be fun to own, and I think fun financially as well. I think you can have a lot of fun with that in every sense of the word. So now onto this S4 Quattro Cabriolet, another wonderful car. 68,000 miles for this 2004 car. It's a manual, so this is a really desirable spec, isn't it? Particularly if you look at the colour. It's had what we call TFR, so when it's been to the car wash, they've put traffic film remover. That all polishes off, so don't worry about that. It's had paint work. There's a little bit of lack of blistering on the bonnet, so I would give yourself some budget to do that again. The rest of the body is really, really nice. Desirable colour of sprint blue, original spec, and very rare. You don't find that many manual S4 cabs. It's pretty, isn't it? This is Audi when they were really at the top of their game, I think. So you've got all that performance, it's Quattro as well, and that's going to be 6 to 7 grand. If you are a VAG enthusiast, you want the basis for your next project car, I think you might have found it there. Again, really nice cruiser, so proper 4-seater, really nice roof on these, and exceptional performance in a very nice looking car. More fun convertibles, we have them all, the sun's shining hopefully, I've got my shorts on, so we've filled the showroom with convertibles. This is brilliant, I am definitely having a bid on this. 1998 Toyota Celica 2-litre GT convertible, UK supply car, rarer than the rarest rare. They never ever come up for sale. It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? If you like World Rally, if you like Sega Rally particularly, this shape of Celica will mean something to you. Obviously this isn't a GT4, but what it is unusual and rare. Really rare car, low owners, it's a GT, got a long MOT with no advisories, and it's a Toyota, so it will just go on forever and work long after we've all gone. So a tiny little bit to do, paint's pretty decent, it hasn't got a hood bag with it, it needs a hood bag. A few scratches and scuffs on the paint, but do you know what? She's a level old girl, she really is. And the best bit is, no reserve. I have no idea what that's worth, you know. I reckon that should make a few thousand. But I'm struggling to think of a more fun way to drive around in the summer for not massive amounts of money. Refurb the wheels or get some really nice, get some compo motives on it, get some WRC look compo motives on this, drop it, and just break the internet for about probably 4 grand. I am going to have a bid on that because that's mega, absolutely mega. On to completely different end of the drop top scale, 1954 MG TD, very nice this car actually. 2 former keepers with a family since 1999. It's just been recommissioned this year to the sum of £2,860, including a new pump, cylinder head rethread, new head gasket, new coolant and a full service, and 2 former keepers, and a full restoration in 1998. Now, I always bang on about this, so apologies if I sound like a stuck record. My favourite thing in the world is not a freshly restored car, because all cars look good when they've been freshly restored. Give me a car that was restored 20 odd years ago, and I'll tell you if it was a good restoration or not, because when a car has sat in its restoration for a long period of time, then you can tell if they did a good job. Guys, they did a good job. So this is 20 odd year old paint, and it's just starting to go in a couple of places, just a couple of tiny little blemishes, look, on the bonnet. But crikey, you know, this is a 1950s car that was restored 25 years ago. I love it. Really, really level. I would just live with all these tiny little blemishes because they don't affect the enjoyment of the car. It's incredibly presentable. You'll have so much fun at your local car show, tootling about on a sunny Sunday with it. Roof down, wind in the hair, driving for a bit of pub lunch somewhere. And again, MGs, can't stress this enough, so easy to look after, so many bits available off the shelf for these. And you will pay for that, my friends, somewhere between 12 and 14 grand. The only slight downside to these, if you're massive like me, you do have to shoehorn yourself in. Not a great car for a 6'4" bloke with very long legs. We did one of these on the show. We had so much fun filming with it for the day. I didn't want to give it back or sell it at the end, but it was a tight squeeze. Let's put it that way. Drew fitted in perfectly, funny enough. Boxster 2.7, where are you? Here she is with a great wheel refurb. Look at this. Ooh. 2001 Boxster 2.7. I think they've hit the nail on the head here. What a great colour combination. It's got the black interior, it's got the later wheels which have been beautifully refurbed as well. £6,000 has just been respent on an engine rebuild. It's the only thing you worry about when you buy a cheap Boxster is, will the engine bite me? I can say to you on this one, probably not, because someone who just spent £6,000 doing the work you now don't have to do, so you can sleep well at night. This will not be an expensive car. It's also had a recent replacement hood. So the two things on a Boxster you worry about, engine and roof, sorted. Wheel refurb's brilliant, body condition is very, very nice. It's a really lovely colour. And that's 5 to 6 grand. The roof and the engine rebuild cost more than that. So again, you're paying for an engine rebuild and a roof, you get a free Boxster. Lots to love there. Manual car, just effortless summer cruiser. If you fancy like a bit of cheap sports car track day fun, there you go. That or an MX-5, guys, come on, for 6 grand. There's no competition, is it? Especially with the engine. The Cortina, the 1970 Cortina 1600E, a car that will doubtless be worth an enormous amount of money once you've restored it. But until then, maybe get it just back on the road and enjoy it as it is. The interior is very good and very complete. If you're restoring a 1600E, you'll know it's finding all the trim parts like the wood cappings, the right steering wheel and boss. That's what takes the time. This one has done 47,000 miles. It's been with the same family since 1992. And have you noticed? No vinyl roof. Somebody deleted the vinyl roof option, which was very unusual at the time because it was considered to be very hip and cool. Original receipt from sale. So there's a lot of work to do, guys, don't get me wrong. If you want to build this into a 30 grand car, you're probably going to have to spend most of that money again getting it right. But if you want an incredibly sound basis for restoration, this is your car. If you want a car that you can just leave patinated and get running for not daft amounts of money, this is your car. Either way, 5 to 6 grand and she's yours. Another Michelotti Spitfire. You know what I think of these? I think they're absolutely mega. Beautiful little things. 78 car, this one, with a factory hardtop and overdrive. It's done 74,000 miles. It's been with the same family since 1998, and I am loving all these long ownership cars because they have great provenance and you know they're legitimate. We get a lot of people buying toys here, you know, people that buy a car for 1 or 2 years and flip it. Love that too, but you cannot beat, if you're the buyer, buying a car that you know has been with the same owners for a long, long time. So as I say, factory hardtop, it's got the overdrive, it's got hood frame, cover and tonneau all with it as well. And it's just a nice level thing. I think that's pageant blue. I'm sure the BL aficionados can tell me in the comments. But I think that's one of the prettiest colours. Very period, very nice. The wheels look good, the bodywork's nice, the chrome's good. Seats have been retrimmed in a slightly later fabric, which I think still works. And that's not going to be an expensive car, guys. £4,500 to £5,500. Sticking with the Triumph theme, a little bit earlier, TR2, really pretty car this one. UK supplied, right-hand drive car. Just, don't these look good? These really do look good. Again, I like this one because mechanically it's faultless, but body, I'll give the mechanicals a 10 and the body like a 6.5, 7. So it's not so perfect you worry about not using it. So again, I would just leave this exactly as it is. It's got perfect interior, decent body, perfect dashboard. And in fact, it's just been so recently restored, it still needs running in. That's how much money's been spent on the engine. It's got the heritage certificate, so many new parts. As I say, a really beautiful mechanical job where the body works good but not perfect. In other words, the perfect classic one that you can use and enjoy and not worry too much about. That car, if you'd like to buy this, is going to be between about 18 to 20, if you'd like that. Now, another car that was in the previous sale, and the owners very kindly put it back in with a low reserve. This is hilarious, this car. So obviously it's a beautiful Morgan, that much you can see, a 2000 plus 8. So you're starting with one of the best Morgans in one of the best colours with the best engine they did. If that's not enough, you can hear Lucy in the background, she's excited about it. This has an Opcon auto rotor supercharger conversion that cost £18,000. It's a manual car with 41,000 miles that has way more power than the factory ever fitted. So 2 keepers basically from new. This £18,000 supercharged conversion, which really makes me smile. All the weather gear, the hood cover, it really is pretty. As good as it looks on the screen is how it is in real life. It's a very level car, this. It's got the deep chrome wires on it. It's just silly. And you could buy this car for £25,000 to £27,000, which if you compare the price of a standard Plus 8 in this condition without mileage, you're not really paying for the supercharger kit. That will thrash a lot of genuine performance cars, and if you then join the Morgan Owners Club, you will be the fastest Plus 8 there. There's a lot to say for that. And that is the end of this video, so do make sure you've liked and subscribed. Do make sure if you see anything you like, go to manorparkclassics.com, make sure you've registered to bid, and if you're clever enough to watch these videos early, you still have 3 days to come in person and actually do this for real. We encourage you to come down, look at the cars, open them up, sit inside. Either way, I'll see you online or in person on Saturday. Hope you can join us.